Today we are looking at a mechanically rebuilt auto probe grain probe. This unit is in nice condition. Note that this unit has not been electrically wired. This unit will need to be fitted with micro switches and a control panel in order to be used. The maximum height of this probe, with this arm fully extended, the boom fully raised, is 12 to 14 feet approximately. This probe is powered by single-phase 110 volts. Again, this unit has been mechanically rebuilt. Everything is in good shape. The bearings have been changed out for new. You can see the roller bearings on the up and down carriage. This moves up and down in this track and causes the boom to raise or lower. The roller bearings have all been changed out for new. This unit was disassembled, sandblasted, repainted. It's in nice shape. The probe or stinger is in nice shape. Again, this unit has been mechanically rebuilt. We have made some improvements to its original design. The hoses are in good shape. The swivel on the top is in good shape as well. You can see the main column here from the other side. The metal on this unit is in good shape. This unit comes with a vacuum. This is what sucks the seed or grain out of the back of the wagons or grain trucks. This suction vacuum has been rebuilt. The brushes have been replaced. It is ready to wire in and use. This is the sample chamber. So this is where the sample, after it has been vacuumed out of the grain wagon or grain truck, is collected. There's a spring-loaded door on the bottom. Just opens right up easily. There's a nice clear lens here, so you can see the grain come in as the sample is collected. There is a set of bearings here. This is a duplicate set of the roller bearings on the carriage here. This will minimize downtime. We know when it's harvest time and the trucks are there waiting, if there is an issue, you don't want to be down for long. So that is why we took the liberty of including these extra components. There's a second set of brushes here for the vacuum motor. The vacuum motor has a new set of brushes installed. We also included the invoice from the bearing company. So if you do use these duplicates up, you can order replacements and keep your supply up. This is an all-around nice unit. It's very clean. It's in nice condition. It has been mechanically rebuilt and checked over. Again, this unit needs to be wired up and outfitted with a series of micro switches. Towards the end of the video, we will explain that in depth. Now we are going to remove the inspection covers and talk about the internal components. All right, we've removed the inspection covers so you can see the internals of this probe. The motors are in great shape. We had them checked over by a certified motor technician. He went through the brakes, checked them over, replaced the brake pads and both of the little brakes on the back sides of these drive motors. The brake ensures that the motor stops instantly once power is disconnected. Later in the video, I will discuss how easy it would be to wire this unit up with the proper micro switches. Because this unit is not wired up, I can't fire these motors up and show you video of this probe working. However, these motors have been checked over and serviced by a certified motor technician. They are ready to wire up and perform. This motor controls the swiveling action of the probe. This motor, this larger one, controls the up and down action of the boom arm. We put new roller chain on these units. It's brand new. It's in excellent shape. The sprockets on this unit are in excellent shape. They show little signs of wear. Both of these motors, the boom extension motor and the probe swiveling motor, are ran off of single phase 110 volts. You can see the listing for a picture of the motor tag so you can take down any pertinent information. The main bearings on this unit have been serviced, have been checked over and inspected for wear. They're in good condition. You can see the opposite side of the boom control motor. This is the motor that controls the boom going up or down. We put new bearings on the column here. Hopefully you can see up inside of there. We serviced the roller chain, made sure it was to the proper tension, put in new sprockets. We put new carrier bearings on the carriage here that controls this arm, thus making the boom raise or lower. We put new bearings on this end as well. We have the inspection covers removed so you can see the roller chain. Roller chain has been greased, lubed up, and is ready to perform. Hopefully you can see that without the sun bleaching it out. We outfitted this unit with this brand new 12 volt actuating motor. This extension cylinder takes a grand total of 35 seconds to fully extend. It can extend out 40 more inches, and it takes 35 seconds to fully retract. This unit is powered by 12 volts. We are including a 110 to 12 volt power converter. Later in the video, when we discuss what it would take to wire this unit, I will go into greater detail about that. This 12 volt actuator is waterproof and is heavy duty. The cylinder is made out of stainless steel. When we installed this 12 volt actuating motor to control the boom extension, we thought of maintenance and ease of service, as well as downtime, especially when it's harvest time. Downtime needs to be put to a minimum. So we made this boom extension cylinder easy to take on and off. Simply remove this nylon lock nut, as well as the other nylon lock nut there at the top. The cylinder comes off very easily after that. Then you can put a new one on and go back to work. Note that when you do remove this 12 volt cylinder, the lockout pin needs to be inserted into this hole to keep everything secure and safe. We also included lubrication ports on each side. That allows you to spray an aerosol grease in here and keep the tube that is inside of this larger square tube lubricated and working well. There is also another lubrication port right here. We also made a drain port, hopefully you can see it up there, so that if any water does get into this, it easily drains out the end and does not stay inside of this square tube, causing rust and other failures. This is just an all-around nice unit. It's been fully serviced. It's been improved. And with a little wiring, this unit will be ready to stand up and use. Now, with the covers removed, we are going to discuss what it would take to wire up the electric motors and set this unit up with micro switches. To wire this unit up and set it up with the proper micro switches wouldn't be very hard. It's a pretty simple system. It's pretty straightforward and easy to understand. First up, to wire up the swivel motor that controls the swiveling of the probe, all this unit would need are two micro switches. You can see the old factory holes. There would be a switch here and a switch over here at the end of my finger. Hopefully you can see that. These tabs that are welded onto the column rotate with the column, and when it reaches its maximum, turning to the left, this would contact the spring-loaded arm on the micro switch, cutting power to this motor, and then the brake would stop the motor instantly. Then, if the switch is reversed, and the probe spins to the right, the opposite tab, you can see it right there, would hit the spring-loaded arm on the micro switch, cutting the power. And again, the brake on the back of the gear motor would stop the swivel action of the probe instantly. Would be very simple to wire up. Now we are going to discuss the wiring of the boom control motor. This is the motor that controls the boom going up or going down. To wire the boom control motor up, it would be very simple. There is a rod that sticks out the side of this carriage here that the roller bearings are attached to, and it would contact a micro switch that could be mounted right here. You can see the original holes, hopefully. This rod would contact the spring-loaded arm on the sealed micro switch, so that when the carriage gets down to a certain point, it would contact the spring-loaded arm, cutting power to the motor, and then the brake would stop the motor instantly. Then if you reverse the switch on the control panel, the motor would fire up in the opposite direction, and it would carry or move this carriage upward till it contacted the second micro switch. You can see the original holes there. And once this rod touched the second micro switch's spring-loaded arm, it would cut power to the motor, and then of course the brake would stop the motor instantly. And then of course, if you let off of the switch anywhere in between the micro switch, the probe would stop going up or down. To wire this up, it would be very simple. Now we are going to discuss what it would take to wire up the boom extension cylinder. That's what this is right here. This is a 12-volt actuator. This cylinder makes the boom extend outward, or it makes it retract, whatever you would like. That's very handy when it comes to positioning over a grain truck or grain wagon. Again, this unit is powered by 12 volts DC. Now we are going to be including a brand new 110 volt to 12 volt DC power converter. I will splice in a picture of it now. These are the leads. This actuator is brand new, works very well. To wire this unit up, it would be very simple. Once you have your DC power being generated by the AC to DC power converter, you would need a bidirectional switch in your control panel. So when you activate the switch, it would extend the actuator motor, thus extending the boom. And then when you reverse the switch, it would retract the boom. DC is very simple and easy to work with. To give a basic idea as to what the control panel would look like, we have our switch up here that controls the vacuum motor. This is what sucks seed out of the back of the grain wagons or grain trucks. This is the amp gauge, so that would tell you how many amps you're drawing once you fire up the vacuum. The amp gauge is what tells you whether or not you have a clog or something is not working right. Then we would have our swivel switch that would control the grain probe swiveling from right to left. Then of course we would have our up or down switch. This would control the height of the boom, thus controlling the height of the stinger. The stinger is what goes down into the grain wagon or grain truck. And then of course we would have our boom extension switch here. Switching it to the left would make the boom retract, and then switching it to the right would make the boom extend. So setting up a control panel would be pretty simple and straightforward. Now we are going to discuss maintenance of this probe, because maintenance is important, especially when you are counting on your machinery. Inside of the base of this probe are some components that would need to be lubricated. First of all, remove the cover every year and clean out any moisture or debris. Secondly, there is a main carrier bearing down at the base of this unit that will need a couple of shots of regular axle grease once a year. There is also a roller chain in there that controls the turning or swiveling of the probe. We recommend that you use some PB Blaster chain and cable lubricant. Just spray that on the chain bi-yearly, twice a year. There is also a greasable bushing up inside of this unit. So it is a large pipe and there is a smaller pipe that is the part of the column inside of it. There's a grease cert that needs to be greased twice a year. Then inside of this compartment here, once the inspection cover is removed, that will expose the roller chain that controls the carriage up and down. We recommend greasing it twice a year with chain and cable lubricant. There are also 2-bolt bearings in there. Those need to be greased once a year. They are what control the roller chain inside here, thus moving the boom up and down. Again, you would need to grease those once a year. They are identical to these bearings here. Now these are on the outside, so I would recommend that you grease these twice a year, once every 6 months. These roller bearings are exposed to the elements. They are the bearings on the carriage here that move the boom up and down. We recommend that you grease these once every 3 months with this aerosol chain and cable lubricant, just to keep a nice coating of oil on there to keep them from seizing up. This has a swiveling head on it. This allows the probe to turn without kinking any of the vacuum hoses. We recommend that you grease this twice a year and once before every harvest. The boom, this square tube here, has a smaller square tube inside of it. You can see it right up there at the top. It's important that this stays lubricated. Now, of course, when this probe is sitting upright and is installed, this will be at a downward angle, and we recommend that you spray this chain and cable lubricant inside of these ports, giving it a good amount. There is a port there and a port on the opposite side every 3 months. And then, of course, right before harvest, give everything a good lubrication to make sure everything runs smoothly. To service this actuator motor, we recommend that you extend it fully and then spray this chain and cable lubricant onto the cylinder, giving it a good coating every 6 months. And then, of course, right before every harvest. When you do service this actuating motor and it is fully extended, it is also a good idea, once it is fully extended, to spray the square tubing and the round vacuum tubes, the parts that slide into one another, with chain and cable lubricant. Just keeps everything oiled up and running smoothly. Note that on the bottom of the boom is a small roller bearing. It is a little larger than the ones that are found here on the carriage. It will need to be sprayed once every 6 months with cable and chain lubricant. When the probe is not in use, it is important to store the boom at rest so that if any water gets into it, it drains out the end. And when the probe is not in use, it is a good idea to plug this with paper towels or wrap some painter's tape over it so that mud daubers or wasps don't get up in there and build a nest. This would not be good, as it could cause a clog and could burn up your vacuum motor. Again, it is a good idea to lubricate all of the working components on this probe right before harvest, because that is when it is going to be used the most. Note that once a year, you should inspect all of your electrical cables and make sure that none of the gasketry on any of the sealed components is failing. This has been an overall view of this grain probe. It is a nice unit. We've covered the maintenance and what it would take to make this unit work in regards to electrical wiring. Thank you for watching.